Greetings, programs. This is Let's Code a Full 90, where we'll take the next hour and a half and dig into some source code and try to make our part of the world a little bit of a better place. Man, easy for me to say. You'd think I have after 34 episodes. That thing worked out. Hey, I'm glad you're here. What are we doing today? We're still doing the Wix tool set. I thought about all these different things that we could work on because, we made some really good progress on Wix, but I decided the best thing to do is to continue to maintain the momentum pushing into Wix 4 Preview 1, which means I thought it'd probably be best to pick up a bug, like just one of the bugs that I actually opened a week or two ago. Anyway, a week or two ago, I thought, you know what, let's just keep the pressure on, keep moving, and try to take a swing at this issue. And I'm gonna kind of wander around in a little bit as I try to decide, what is the best way to solve this thing? That's what we're gonna go look at today. So let's go jump into it. All right, which number is it? What are we talking about? We're down here in episode 34. Our to-do list is like mostly check marks up above here, which is fantastic, awesome, good stuff. That's what we want. So let's go pick up the things that are not done. Actually, why don't I go ahead and bring over my issue list? So this is kind of what I've been living in for the last few weeks. Just trying to make this list go down. And notice I'm down to 10 open. That number is not going to stay at 10. It's going to go back up as we start finding things. In fact, there's a set of issues out there already that other people could pick up instead of me. So they're left open. But in the end, everything, I'm kind of like where everything goes or ends up. The buck stops here. I don't know. There's some expression I was trying to find there. Anyway, if it doesn't get fixed by somebody else, I guess I have to fix it. It's kind of the feeling of the world. On that front, I have been gearing my way up into fixing patching, which is not something that I'm excited about. It's not a feature that I enjoy, but it's in the Wix tool set. I know there are still people out there that use it. It's still an important key feature for some people. The Wix tool set should support it. And since nobody else is, I guess I am. So anyway, that's 4 of my 10 issues are all around Wix patching. So I'm like keen to get that thing done, but there's a lot of work to integrate it into the new way that Wix 4 works with the build system, or the build command, the way that there's a single build command instead of the candle and light, the torch and the pyro. It's all one build command. Anyway, we'll talk about patching probably when I get closer to being done. I'll come here and want to celebrate with you guys about what's going on. These other things are various smaller issues of just have to kind of be picked up and taken care of in the release process, or kind of see if this issue, this bug ever comes back. It's been gone for quite a while. Little things like that. But this one down here at the bottom, the Wix PDB output folder customization has no effects in a Wix proj. So in a CS proj, you can set a PDB directory where you can then build your exe to one folder, and you can build your Wix PDB to another folder. A lot of people probably don't use it. And honestly, this might even slip by if we didn't use it. In the Wix toolset build process, the build process for the Wix itself, we actually output all the PDBs that are not embedded inside managed code assemblies. We do embed as many PDBs as we can, but the ones that we can't, mostly native code, go into a PDB folder that we then zip up. And we zip them up so that we have them available for future releases. We zip them up and store them with the build so that if we ever need to debug that build, we can grab those PDBs, grab the source at that time, and be able to debug into the custom actions. Very, very, very rarely used, but in those few cases where you need it, it's vital that you have it. Anyway, I was thinking, hey, I introduced a new bundle into the world, so I should put the Wix PDB in there, because the Wix PDB can be used for, among other things, patching and such like that. So I was like, we should store the Wix PDB. So I did the same thing, specified a PDB output directory, our PDB output directory for Wix, did a build, and the Wix PDB didn't go there. And I was like, oh no. So we're gonna go jump in and see why that's happening, which is what this issue is all about, and see if we can't take care of it. And that will be one less issue on the list. I don't know that we're gonna get it done today. We're gonna wander into a whole bunch of things with MSBuild and our tracking file, which will take us back, what was that, 10 episodes ago? Before semantic versioning, the semantic versioning saga, I think we were doing a lot of the MSBuild work, making things work better there. So this is going to take us back there, and we're going to have to, I think, redo some of the things that we did there, or at least reapproach them and evaluate them, think about them. So if you've been coming along for the last 33 weeks, this is the 34th week. Fantastic. I love it. I'm glad you've been here. let's kind of go figure out how we're going to put these pieces together and solve it so that when you tell the Wix toolset in your project file to output a Wix PDB to a separate directory, that it does so. That seems like something it should do. In the end, this is the issue that I opened. PDB outputter is the configuration, and that's not being respected. And I made a comment here in the copy files to output directory. That is where we're going to jump to first. All right, so this is what we're doing. We're going to go figure out how to put the Wix PDB in the correct location when built through a Wix project. All right, 1, 2, 3, get this out of the way. Let's go open up. I think I just want to work. This is all going to be in the Wix segment because it's all inside our build system and our build tools. Granted, this is one of the larger segments in Wix, Burn being the other big one. And we're going to start with code. I'm just going to bring up Wix code because we're going to be jumping in and out of MSBuild files here for a bit. Man, a lot of stuff open here. We're just going to close everything, get a nice clean slate. All right, so the thing I want to find first is the Wix tools, the Wix targets. These targets are the lifeblood, the core system of the entire build of Wix projects. So that's what we're going to look at here. And I jumped down to the bottom because I know that copy files to output directory is one of the last things we do. At the end of the build, there is a target that says, hey, cool, you built all your files to the intermediate folder. MSBuild should now have run this target that then lays them out to the output folder. And that's what this does. And we override this because the way that we build, because there are so many files that we build as part of Wix where the references to them are embedded in source code. So, file, source, anything that gets laid out next to an MSI or a bundle, we need to track all those. And then we tell this output, hey, by the way, there's not just this one single MSI and one PDB. Because like if you think of a C# project or a C++ project even, when they build, they essentially they have a very finite set of things that they build. They build the exe that then gets copied to the output directory. They build a PDB, and then any number of things that you list inside your project files, essentially how the things that get copied. In the Wix toolset, because so many things get managed inside the toolset, we have to communicate that out, and that's what that tracking file is. So if we look at this bind tracking file, I'm just trying to load your context and at the same time talking through it, remind me. There is the bind tracking file, which contains the bind tracking file prefix. What is that? Where is that? Bind tracking file. Oh, here it is. Bind tracking file prefix is the MSBuild's project name .bind tracking, because these are the files that were bound during, or that are being tracked during the bind process, the part of the Wix build that sticks everything together and spits it out. The bind tracking file prefix, and then we put a dash in it, okay, when there are cultures. And then for every culture we build in a separate MSI, we build a separate bind tracking file, and we pass this into the core compile, into the Wix build core compile inputs to say, hey, here's a file that tracks all of the things that were spat out of our build system. Right here, we pass it into the build so it knows, hey, here's the bind tracking file that you want to care about. The other thing to notice here is that we specify the output file, so the exe or the MSI that's being built, or merge module, wixlib, whatever, and we're explicitly telling it, hey, you're building to the intermediate output path, and then a culture group if we're building multiple cultures. So this is if you have multiple Wixel files, then that will cause multiple MSIs to get built, each in their own output folder based off the locale of the culture. So, and then the target file name. So these two pieces here tell you where to put the file and where the PDB file goes. And again, it's in the intermediate output path. And because we always build to the intermediate output path, that's why that copy files to output directory target runs much later. It takes them from the intermediate path, intermediate output folder, and moves them to your final build location. All right, so these, as you can see, are hard-coded, or yeah, it's hard-coded. Essentially, it is this path. That's where we're going to build that to. Then we're going to build that to. And somewhere in here, no, we don't. I was going to say somewhere in here we must know the final output directory, but I guess we don't. The Wix build is not provided. This target is not provided the final build location. That is only held by the copy to output directory. So, all right. So we know now that this target is going to spit out our final file name and our PDB and this tracking file to the intermediate output path inside the appropriate culture, if there is one. And actually the bind tracking file ends up in an intermediate folder with the culture group around it. Okay, so the bind tracking file ends up in the parent directory of an MSI. Copy to output directory. Copy files to output directory. This is the place that has the output folder somewhere in it. Yeah, so there's our intermediate output path, and then our full intermediate output, source files, destination files. Yeah, there's the use of outdir. So outdir is the MSBuild variable in the whole system that says this is where your stuff goes in the end. The out directory. All right, this is the thing I was looking for. And we have one outdir for all of our files, which is why when we build all of our stuff, the MSI, any of its constituent files, or the bundle and any of its constituent files, all of them get laid out to the correct folder. And the PDB, which is also included in this bind tracking file, ends up being copied to the output dir. And that's our root of our bug today. This outdir is not the same as PDB output dir. PDB output dir does default to outdir, which is why normally, as we've been running all these tests, we haven't noticed. It's like, yeah, that's right. The PDB should be next to the MSI. Everything's fine. But when you override the PDB output dir, well, it's being ignored. It's not being used at all. Which brings us to this little block here that's commented out. So copy to output files, copy files to output directory. I don't know why I keep saying that wrong. Copy files to output directory also copies the debug symbols. Now this is copied, this part here that's commented out was copied from, too many copies. This block of code here was duplicated from the original copy to files output directory that's part of MSBuild common targets, so the normal common targets. And what we've done here is overridden it because of all the extra handling we want to do for our bind tracking file and stuff like that. And this right here being commented out is the root of our bug. We want to copy the debug symbols to the debug symbols output path. Now these are using the variables that C# projects use. C++ projects do this all completely differently, which means that I don't think we can use that as a reference, but it's all what we need to figure out. So one of the ideas I had for solving this was that the target output file and the PDB are special. And they're already kind of special because if we go back and look at the, what was it, 637, I think? Yeah. If we look at the WixBuild, the core compile command, the WixBuild, we're already treating them special here and that we can control them. So I'm wondering if we should always treat them special and we should not be using the bind tracking file for moving them around, is kind of what I'm wondering. Is that we should have special handling for these two files because, well, they're special. Wherever these guys go, wherever this target file name goes, that's where all the bound files have to go. They end up following that guy around. But the PDB file, we're treating specially, and it can go somewhere else. At least that's the thinking, or one of the thinking, potential thinking. Let's see. Now the tricky part is that you guys were here, I think, when we did this. All right, we took an optimization here to reference all of the bind tracking file. We read the tracking file, and we take all of the outputs as the full path to copy. I just realized that this is a task of ours. That's not just read this file for everything. This is the read the tracking file. So we could put logic in there. All right, so what did we do? We took all the tracking, we read the tracking file. All right, we're gonna have to go look at that task and put its contents into the full path to copy. Right, and then here we would add the target file name if the full path to copy was blank. Because this handles the case where if the bind tracking file isn't there, then we still want to include our target file name as a file to be copied, because it ends up making everything very consistent, and then it fails. It's like, hey, I can't copy this file because it wasn't built, for example. That would be one reason why the bind tracking file wasn't there. Because it wasn't built, hey, let's just throw it away. So I'm talking about treating this differently. One option would be to remove this condition. All right, so if we remove this condition from the full path to copy, right? I'm making sure that it's not used anywhere else. All right, we're gonna do a search through this whole file for anything else that used full path to copy. I'm pretty sure it's all in here. Yeah, it's all in here, that's good. All right, so full path to copy. All right, so if we took out this condition, then what we'd be saying is that we read the tracking file and we include all of the outputs from the bind tracking file, but we need to change it so it no longer includes the target file name, which would be fine. All right, I kind of like the idea of that. So then this is consistent. We always add the target file name and then we add that. So I would almost, like, let's just humor me a little bit. I would almost organize it like this. Add the bound output files to the list to be copied. I don't like that wording, but that's essentially what it is, right? So here, what we're doing is we add the target output to the list to be copied, and then we add the bound output files to that list as well, right? So this, we create this item, we populate it with our target file name, and then we read the tracking file and we add the rest of the outputs to this. That means this read tracking file needs to filter out or not include the target file name. Okay, that's a thought. It's an interesting idea. Let's start with that. So then all this does is figure out the relative paths so that we can do, so that this logic can work where we have all the relative path files and we copy them from the intermediate to the same sort of tree structure. So from the intermediate output path and all the files, we then copy them to the same tree structure inside the output door, so they don't all get flattened into one directory. Okay. I kind of like this. This feels more consistent. If we can get the read tracking to be consistent where we can have that logically read the appropriate bind tracking, the appropriate files from the bind tracking, aka not the target output file. And we'll have to think about how to do that. I'm not exactly sure the best way to do that yet, but at a high level, I kind of like the idea of this. We always include this, and we do this, then we have a relative output path. And then that would allow us to bring this this copy task back. Such that we would copy, we want to go find you. We start at the top, search all the way down. There's the output file. I want the PDB one instead. So I went and found the tar file. So we want the PDB file name as the source. And then the destination files would be PDB output dir. Ooh, culture group output folder. I think we would probably need that. Yeah, probably. Okay. Debug symbols produced. Interesting. Okay. don't know if we need this debug symbols produced because we don't set that variable. There is a skip the PDB, isn't there? We'll have to go look. Maybe there is a don't produce the PDB. But that's all right. So this then would kind of do it. This would kind of do it. Suppress PDB. Thanks, Bob. Do we still have that? Suppress PDB output. Okay. That's the only place that we have it. I think suppress PDB is missing. Let's go look at that. All right, what is this? Outputs, debug symbols, output group includes target PDB. Okay, there it is. And suppress PDB output does not equal true. Okay. Yep. Target PDB path is actually the thing that we're looking at. Don't think that's, all right, come on. Push the right button, Rob. Copy that. So that does get copied. You can see target PDB dir gets built up from PDB output dir, and PDB output dir, if it's defaulted, gets set to target dir, which ends up being output dir. Don't know why we have so many names for the same things, but we do. I should probably use target. Now, does this change if we have multiple? Yes. Culture target PDB. Target PDB path. Where does this get used? Target PDB path. This isn't, oh, that's interesting. So this is, okay, that makes sense. This is a property that is is all of the culture. Great. All the PDBs and their output folders. Fine. Cool. Yep. This is kind of, this feels better since we're treating, this feels better because one, we're treating the output as special with the whole intermediate output path control output group target file name, and we're treating the PDB separate, which is this one. So sorry, let's go back here. We're treating the target file name as special. We're treating the PDB as special because that's the point of this issue. And then we're including the bind tracking files to include any of the contents, not those two special files, into the output. This feels like a good design. This feels like this should hold together pretty well. And I'm a little uncertain here of this being the best way to, in fact, I'm pretty confident this is not the way I want to represent this here because of that target PDB file names. I need to come up with another way of mapping the target PDB, the intermediate culture group target PDB. Yeah, need to tie this together with the outputs, which is what that target PDB's property was trying to be. Anyway, so there's some work to do there to get the PDB directory correct. But I feel like this is overall kind of a good idea. Famous last words, but it feels pretty good. All right. Okay, so the next thing I think is to go create a test for this. I'm trying to think if we have tests. We must have tests for the MSBuild stuff. Let's poke around in our tests a little bit here. I know I've changed some of this code. I can undo all this when we put the test together. This is not done, but it's putting me in the right direction, kind of poking at the code. I feel like I've kind of got it to a better, or mentally I've kind of got to wrap my head around it. So the core integration does not use MSBuild, but the SDK does, right? Test data, yeah, there it is, simple MSI. Yes. So I think we can work with this test MSBuild validation and do a build. That's ice errors. Okay. Launch condition. Oh, this is good. This is good. So this is validating ices. Oh, disable validation test due to installer inconsistencies. I remember this now. Yeah, Windows installers behaving differently on different different test locations. All right. So this is the MSBuild validation fixture. That makes sense. So MSBuild fixture then is the one that can build a simple bundle. Perfect. And then we see it spitting out lines of text and good stuff. All right. All right. So I think this is what we will be adding to. Well, maybe not adding to this one, but we will be doing more work inside here to have a test that moves the PDB output directory, which should be as simple as passing in another property to set PDB output dir to a different location, and then the rest of the system should run down from there. All right, cool. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure this test, Wix toolset test SDK, is one that does not work in nCrunch, so we will have to break out the old school test projects, which I don't care for. All right, Wix, let's code. Let me make this a little bigger. Oh, other way. And I'm gonna leave nCrunch on the other window for now. I'll bring Test Explorer once we get to that point. Let's close a lot of this stuff. I was debugging heat last night. Another tool that I don't like. And trying to figure out why it was breaking our build. And I did, I think. I think I found the root cause, and I think I had a workaround, and everything passed in the end. But that's not what we're doing right now. What are we doing right now? We are doing this test. Yeah, all right, so here we can see this test, the validation fixture that we were poking at does not work because the when installer inconsistencies. Validation just does not behave quite the right way on, does not behave consistently on CI/CD systems. All right, next thing. So this is the MSBuild fixture, and you can see these little circle here. This is nCrunch's. I have marked this to be ignored, unfortunately, because these tests are very hard to get working in nCrunch the way that it copies the things and all of that kind of good stuff. So we're gonna have to use Test Explorer, but whatever, that's fine. We'll deal with that. All right, so this is can build, simple MSI packages. And with a merge module with explicitly full PDBs with no PDB. Wait, what's this? Oh, these are what? Really? Assert Wix PDB. Oh, this is a helper function. All right. Been a while since we've been here. So there's suppress validation. There's Wix PDB type. Oh, yes. Bob, it's not suppress PDB, it's Wix PDB type now, right? It's like full or none, because we went and modeled similar to the whatchamacallits, the embedded and full and none PDB type for C#, the new SDK style C# project, I think that's what's happening here. Suppress PDB was the old Wix 3 way of doing it. All right, well, cool. So we already have both. There was some, yeah, there's been some iterations in here, and we're going to clean them up. All right, that's great. Can build with default and explicitly full PDBs. This is good. So I will, I'm going to be looking for these things. All right, I see it. So you see here, the expected outputs are the MSI, the cab, and the Wix PDB. So when you have default or full Wix PDBs, then you get these 3 files built, because I guess the cab is external to this MSI. It's a good test. And otherwise, if you specify none for your Wix PDB type, then notice you don't get the Wix PDB. So we want another one of these tests where we build the Wix PDB to a different folder. Yeah, where we build to another folder. We want a PDB, but we build it to another folder. That's what we want. All right, so let's go ahead and, this isn't quite perfect, but let's see the best way to solve this. Can build with WixPDB to different folder. All right. This is not going to quite work for me here. Let's see. I do want a lot of this, but I'd have to have 2 different folders. But it does give me a lot of what I want. Let's see. Do I want to change this? Or do I want to copy all of this and create a new test? The bin folder. Yes, the bin folder's there. I'd want to create a PDB folder that it's search. It's similar but different enough. Well, let's make it. It's different enough. Let's make it different enough here. All right. Let's see how this goes. I've been changing these to that sort of thing. I'm fine with the default, but I do want to pass the PDB output dir to PDB output. I think we'll call it folder. All right, PDB folder. We'll call it PDB folder. There we go. All right, where do I want to put it? I'll put the PDB folder next to the bin folder. That way we know that we're not getting lucky or having these things land together. All right, so we're going to enumerate all the files in the bin folder. And then I want to do the same thing for the 2 array. I want to do both. That. Let's see. I can do this. And then I think I can do and is it a pen? No. Yeah, right? Pend? A numeral pen. No, that's only one. Concat. That's the one I want. Same thing, but PDB folder. There. And I can do this because we're using the base folder as the length. Now we have the expected output files, which are these guys up here. And we're going to expect PDB. It's going to be, I guess, ENUS. Let's Wix PDB. Okay, so we have our expected output files where we set cab1 MSI package, our source folder. I can say that. We copy all the files, we do a build, we do that, we suppress validation. That's fine, that'll make the test run a little faster. And then we will grab all the files from the bin folder, add all the files from the PDB folder, strip off the base folder, which they're both rooted in, +1, so we get the backslash off of them. We will order by S so that these are sorted, which means bin comes before PDB. That's great. So it gets rid of any file system stuff. Then we'll do a 2 array on it, because then we will compare the line by line. All right. So let's see if I can bring up Test Explorer over here. All right, can you work on this little window over here? And we're on Wix Toolset SDK. And it's a different folder. Let's see, is there a way to search? Yes, that. And build. Oh, I found it. Good. Good. Great. All right, I'm gonna run this real quick. I expect this to fail. I'm not exactly sure what if the PDB is gonna put in the right place. I'm not sure which SDK it's gonna run with, but what it's gonna build, because I haven't built any of these yet. That's fine. Okay, can I see details? Yes. Could not find part of the path temp folder PDB. That's true. So all these failed because they could not find the PDB. Let's take out this concat real quick, run these again, and I expect what we're going to see is it's going to fail in our compare because we're going to get the PDB in the bin folder. Like that's what I hope happens because we haven't moved it yet. The issue, yep, PDB came expected. Number 2, PDB was second. All right, you've okay. Computer, you've that's 2. Is that what it was? 0, 1, 2. But why is the PDB sorted above that one? All right, let's do this again. Now I'm confused. The order by should have put the PDB last. Oh, but it's not last. It's in the bin folder. Duh. So PDB came before the MSI. No. Great. That's the order. Oh, no, it's fine. It's fine. Yes, yes, yes. You're right. Of course, the computer's correct. The difference is that see, I was expected to be in the PDB and not in the bin x86 release, but of course it's put next to the MSI, which is why all of the bin folder stuff is there. Duh. All right, great. So the test has failed the way that we would expect it to, given that I haven't fixed it yet, because I haven't done a build with the SDK. All right, and I want to bring this back. Okay, so this test is now in place, and I think, well, I'm a little bit fuzzy as to whether this ENUS is going to end in here, but I think it will. It must be because there is a WXL file. So let's go. Test data simple MSI package, MSI package. Test data simple MSI, MSI package, WXL. There we go. So that's why we're getting a little culture inside our folders, because there's a WXL file which adds that. Groovy. That makes total sense. I think this is a great test. We will start with this. Whew. Okay. Man, this is actually not going so badly. I'm encouraged. Let me put it that way. So when I get the SDK targets sorted out, then I'll also need to update the read tracking file task to make sure that it sorts out the MSI and the Wix PDB in this case. That'll be interesting block of work. Because what would happen otherwise? Otherwise, the MSI would be duplicated in the files to copy, because the reading file would read the whole tracking file. Okay, all right. Mumbling to myself, kind of thinking through what we're looking at here. But in the Wix targets, what I was thinking was that if I don't fix the read tracking, if I don't change it, it's not fixed. If I don't change the read tracking file, I will have added the target file, the MSI in this case. Then this would read our tracking file, which includes all of our content, in this case cab1.cab, the MSI, so we would duplicate the MSI, and then the PDB would be included in this full path to copy. So we have to change the read tracking to not include the MSI and the Wix PDB, and need to get the source files and destination files portion of this correct. And this one I'm less certain of. All right, I've brought this up a couple times. Let's just take a quick look at read tracking. Read tracking, yay. All right, so what do you look like? You are going to separate off of the -T, which makes sense. Tracked metadata type. Okay. Do include the tracked metadata type. Oh, that's very good. So okay, cool. And then the built outputs. So there's all the built outputs, the copied outputs, the inputs and outputs. And these are all different outputs from this file. Look at that. Look at that. That's awesome. We have all these bits and pieces that we could look at as outputs from this task and do things with them. At this point in time, the Wix target is only getting the outputs, which is the union of all of them. All. Where, oh, it's just built output and copied output. So it's getting the built and the copied outputs. Great. Oh, there is an all. Got it. Okay, so this already has quite a bit. Now I think one of the issues will be that our metadata type that we have on all these track files. Remember, track files have like intermediates and built and things like that. I think we don't have enough detail to know. There won't be enough tracked item metadata type for us to filter out the MSI or the Wix PDB purely by metadata type. But maybe we should. maybe we should add more metadata types to call out the Wix PDB and the target output like MSI or bundle as specific special track types, which could be interesting also if you're inside the Wix process, the pipeline. So as part of the compile and the build, and or the compile and the resolve, link, resolve, bind, you would then be able to get the list of tracked files and very easily find the which one is the that target output and which one is the PDB. Okay. All right. That's something to look at. This is great, though. I'm very happy to see this. Let's go back to our our build here real quick. We do not seem to be building a log file. I'm going to add a log file and then run one of these again, or debug rather. Or does MSBuild utilities add it? Oh, it might. Did I just duplicate the command? Okay, that's fine. Let's look at this base folder. Base folder. Base folder? Base folder? Ah, for an exception. So I can't see things. Oh, but you gave it to me in this exception. Thank you very much. Exception, please. Man, this is busy. Why is it busy? Oh, come on, compiler. No, it's gonna blow up now. All right, we'll do it again. Debug. And I want this path, please, so I can go look at the build log file. So what I want to see is in this build log file. Yeah. Oh, not the OBJ folder. The bin log. All right, cool. Let's look at the bin log, make it bigger. What are we looking at? I want to go look at the copy files to output directory. Copy files, copy files, copy files to output directory. Task. All right, cool. We have all these pieces. There's the full output path, which makes sense. There's our task. There's our parameters in. We found our tracking file, and here's our output items. And we added to full path to copy this. Oh man, I wanted to show me more, but look here. The items that we added have their track type, and these guys are all marked as built output. And this is what I was talking about. Maybe we have the built output, but then we call out the MSI differently and the package PDB differently. Or maybe we add another piece of data on there so that we know what kind of built thing we have. I don't know. We can kind of poke at that. But this is great. So see, this is all the parts. So we have a lot of data that we might need. Great, 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 great. Then we have the relative paths where we chop off the intermediate part, get the relative paths, and then when we copy them, we create the directories. Well, copy directory creates them for us and copies the files into the correct location, or in this case, hard links them. All right, so we're set up well here. I feel like we're set up well here for this. We may enhance the tracking file to have these tracked types in them, or to have another type, content type or something like that. Content type for this would be, I guess it'd just be, I don't know, like supplemental file versus the target file versus the Wix PDB file. It's something like that line that tells you this one is the target, this one is the PDB, and this file and all these other files are supplemental files as built outputs. Or we could change built output to have those pieces of data in them. So it could be built target output, built PDB output, built content output. I don't know, something like that. We'll have to decide how we want to do that if we change those things. I don't know if I should add data or if we should just have built output as one thing and have another column that says the type of the built output, or if we should just have one enum. I don't know. Do you guys have any opinions on that? Like, kind of thinking, usually because by having the separate ones, you could track that, you can find, hey, here's all the things that are built outputs. And then from that, then you can dig in one more layer. But like intermediate files and stuff like that won't have that content output. So that's not as useful. So then you end up with, all right, so if this is like built content output, this is built target output, this is built PDB output, for example, as the types, then you have to get those three, you have to union those three types to get all of the build outputs. But maybe that's right, because in the end, I want to separate out the build contents from the target and the PDB, which is the whole point. All right. I think that might become a little more clear when we get into the code that is creating all of these tracked files inside the core toolset, and inside the backend is really where it's going to be created. I think that kind of holds together. Something like that. Okay. So, what thing to tackle first? I think the thing I want to tackle first, the thing I want to tackle first, I'm not going to be able to easily. Let's just stop that. Is the, let's see if I bring this back. I want to tackle this copy here. I want to see a mapping from these target intermediate path culture group target PDB file name to the target output folder target PDB. All right. So there's this. All right, line 960. So there's this. Is there a bookmarks? No. Control KK is not a command. All right. Well, I guess I could open it in Visual Studio. Maybe I should. Well, I'm good here. Okay. So what I want to tie together is there a split editor? All right, that's it. I'm opening this file in Visual Studio because there's going to be a few things we're going to do. Copy path. Back to Visual Studio. Pull Test Explorer off. Okay. Control O. All right, let's open this file. Okay, cool. Here we are. Destination files. Wait, I have no line numbers in XML? Tools, options, line numbers, C++, general, all, general. Line numbers, yes, everybody has line numbers, please. There we go. There we go. Everybody has line numbers now. Good. Okay, so this here is not the way that we put together the whole list of target file name. All right, so let's go look at target PDB file name. Whoa, sorry, I went the wrong way. All right, target PDB file name. Yeah, that's our target PDB path. So this is our default target PDB path, but this will get changed when we have loc folders, right? So if our loc files, so if we have loc files, then we explode this out to an array or an item, which is a collection of all these guys. So here's target PDB dir target PDB file name, and then we put them back together in the cultured here. So that's the array. Yep. Okay. So that will return the collection of target PDB file names as an array. So this takes this set of items, because this culture will expand to multiple items potentially, and turns it into a semicolon delimited list inside this property. Now we calculate the intermediates here. Oh, and then we pass the intermediates to for validation, and then we say there's the source file file names there, and then we're using the PDB. So this could be, what was it? Target PDB dir? Is that what it was? Go back around. Yeah, so there's target PDB. Essentially, this is saying this expression is our final collection of PDBs. And we put them into this target PDB path. All right, so where I'm struggling is that we have these set of properties that we use to calculate them, and then we put them in this path variable. And to me, it feels like we've disconnected this expression by using this property here. So now I'm gonna go look and see where is everything that uses the target PDB path. And of course that's a substring. So this is the only place that uses target PDB path. Right, so we update target PDB path, and then we, in here, we use it to say, hey, by the way, if you want to know what my symbols were, here they are. This would be the symbols from my output group. Yeah. All right, so what we're doing here at this line right here is updating the variable that got defaulted to, where is it? To target PD bird, target PDB file name. That makes sense. So if it's a singleton, it sticks them together. And if it's not a singleton, there's multiple cultures, then it updates the value as part of the build. And in the end, we use that. In the end, we return the correct value when you ask for it. Okay. So the disconnect is that we do not use target BDB path here. Oop, that's not what I wanted. So this is not legal, but technically speaking, I would rather we were using target PDB path here, because that should be the thing that matches up. Yep. See, that's the thing that everybody's using. The problem is it doesn't have this expansion, and this copy files may not like the fact that this expanded, or rather, this needs to expand with the culture group target PDB file name in the same order so that they all line up with this variable, and that's just kind of tenuous. So instead, I think if I do this, then this expression at least is constant there. Target PDB dir. Target PDB dir. Yep. I think that's the safest thing to do. I think that's the safest thing to do. This expression is this same expression. And I don't have to worry about target PDB path getting out of whack, which then, because the problem is that if this set here that's passed in does not match this set here, copy file ends up with an error message that's very cryptic if you don't realize that it's talking about source files, destination files not matching. That is what it says, but it's very confusing if you don't realize that it's the copy file doing it. It would be very strange if the Wix toolset came out and said, hey, this list of PDBs doesn't input source files does not match the destination files. And you'd be like, what does that mean? So I think this mapping here, I guarantee that the culture groups match as we expand this batching. I think this is the right way to do it. And I do like this full path to copy, pulling the target file name in here. And I like the idea of getting out of this retracking. I want to get a different output. Okay, so let's go pop over to grab this files path, and we'll bring it back over to Visual Studio. Fastest way to find it. Actually, I took that. Retracking. Yeah, that was the faster way. Okay, here we go. Same stuff inside Visual Studio. There's a little more room here. Okay, so what do we have? We have the list of all files tracked. We have the list of built outputs, copied outputs, the inputs, and then the outputs, all of the outputs, which are the built outputs and copied outputs. Ah, look at that. See, we already have two different times of outputs here, which I think if we go look at the enum for tracked files, we would see it as well. I'm in the right project. Anyway, we're working our way top down. We'll go find our way into the binder that has this enum in a bit. Built output, copied output. And then so outputs is the collection of all of those. And what I'm thinking here is that I want to basically keep this the same, but I want to extract the one. We need to go figure out what copied output means, because I don't remember exactly. I have guesses, but I want to make sure we know for sure. And I'm thinking then maybe we refine built outputs to have more types of built target output, built PDB output, and built, I don't have a good name, content output. Let's go look at those other things that get as built outputs and see that. And because I think then we can union them here in the outputs object and maintain a lot of the same behaviors that we wanted everywhere. Basically, I'm going to get everything that I want. I will be able to get build outputs and include all those outputs. That includes everything, essentially union them here, collect them at this task, which is the thing that wants it. All right, I keep talking about this. Let's go look at tracked file, which is not going to be here. It's going to be in extensibility, but let's go look at where it's used. Create tracking file. Oh, that's all I wanted. iTracked file. Okay, so iTracked file is the representation of the data inside the entire pipeline of the Wix build, the WixExe. You can think of WixExe build, all of it in there. This is the representation of files that are tracked, files that are output from the build that need to be cleaned up or otherwise known through the system, and they are the different types are in this tracked file type. Boom. Okay. And now we have the answers. All right, so files and input, that makes sense. These are the files. Input files are things that if they get updated, we have to build again. That's cool. Temporary files are files that we created, but should be deleted as the build finishes up. Okay, great. We have intermediate files, which are files that are intended to stay inside the intermediate folder. So if on subsequent builds, we can use them again. Primarily, we're talking about things like in the cab cache. So that's cool. We do need that. We have the built output, the output created by the build process itself, like an MSI, a cab, or a Wix PDB. And these are the three that we might want to like separate: the target type, target, PDB, and then content. I think maybe is what we call it. All right, these files can be recreated in the final output by building again. Cool. And then we have copied by the build process, files external to an MSI. These files are not created by the build process, but they're copied to the final output location. Right. And it's important to separate the copied outputs because they're not built by the build process. So if you were to delete them, you are deleting users' stuff. And it's not like we didn't build it, so we should not delete it, essentially is what that collection is for. Now, we don't end up deleting any of these build outputs here at this time anyway, so we're fine. Okay, great. Now that I say that, let's go look at all the places where read tracking files used and see if those other inputs are used. Aha, there it is. Read previous bind inputs and outputs. Right, so read the inputs and read the built outputs. That makes sense. This is the thing I was talking about before where if any of the files are inputs, like, hey, you have this EULA that gets included in the MSI, and then the lawyers change the EULA, well, you want to make sure that the build of the MSI changes. So the EULA is an input, and the MSI, or the cab that it went into, is the built output. So that makes total sense that read tracking would be used this way for both inputs and outputs. Great. And here we read the tracking file to say, hey, these were all of the files that I built. So make sure that file rights contains all of the files that we built, which makes sense. And because file rights is the thing that does the intermediate cleans, and it's a system inside MSBuild that if you list all your files correctly and then the user does a clean, that target automatically cleans all the files that were built, aka the outputs from the build. So that's good. Nope. Stop. I hit a 5. I want to hit a 4. I don't know what I just did. Stop. All right. Come back, Visual Studio. There we are. Okay. That's why I get frame 5. All right. So that makes sense that the read tracking file is there. Here we're reading the outputs again. So this is the files that were built. Okay. Yep. And here we're back to the files to include. All right, so I think that says that if we separate out we create special track types for the target file, the PDB, and the content, I don't know what to call them, supplement, related build outputs. It's a built output that is not the target and not the PDB. It's everything else that got built, like cabs is probably the biggest example of a built output. I guess we'll go look and see where they're all created, because we can go see where all the tracking files are created. So if we separate those three, then we create reads from the tracking file to get those different parts, then we should be able to get everything that we want here. And that's not going to be too hard, I don't think. I don't think that's going to be too hard. Okay. So on that note, I'm going to go back to my code. I tracked file, right? And I want to bring up this tracked file type. Awesome. All right, here we are, tracked file type. This is the file where it gets built in the API. Oh, now I need to name these things. All right. Built target output. Target output created by the build process itself, like MSI or MSM, MSI, MSM, wixlib, wixlib.exe. All right, I think that's useful. These files can be created by building, again, correct. Built PDB output. Output PDB created by the build process. Fine. There we go. That one, like a Wix PDB. These files can be recreated by. Yep. All right. Now I want to change this one. I'm going to call it content for a second. Should I call this Wix PDB? No, I'm going to call it PDB. And this is like a cab. I don't know what other files do we generate that live outside of the package? I don't know what we do. Most of the rest of them, is it really just cabs? Are there no other text files that we generate? Like, I was thinking like SWID tags or something like that, but we don't generate them outside. They live inside the MSI or inside the bundle. Maybe we don't have anything else. I guess we'll find out. Okay, so by doing that, oh, external container, but that's still a cab, right? I mean, yeah, it's external container, but it's a cab. So speaking of something that wasn't a cab, right, we're gonna drop back to the API. All right. Today, but they're not restricted to cabs. Oh, that's Bob's looking to the future. All right, I'm gonna close Visual Studio so that when I build, it will do this. I've updated this API command, by the way, finally, to clean out all the cached files before when I build. So it means I should be able to build this and then open Wix again, the Wix segment. So this is the API segment. I should be able to go to the Wix segment and open it up again, and it will pick up the new extensibility here. All right, we'll let this build go. Yeah, so Bob's looking in the future when the burn might not use cabs as its container format. Maybe something smarter, more powerful. LZMA being the favorite thing for compressing executable type code things. All right. So what did we do? Now this change breaks core Wix by adding these, by splitting one enum into 3. So now when we bring up Wix, my hope when we bring the Wix project back up and it restores from this that I just built, my hope is that it's built correctly, right? Yeah, okay. It will now start throwing errors when we restore and build down here. Errorless, I guess. Okay. Who needs to build? I guess core could build first. Trying to just kick it up. Tracked file type does not contain a definition for built output. Perfect. That's what I want to see. And burn should have that problem. And Windows installer. Oh, come on. There we go. That's why I want to see more. And then that. That should be enough to get started. All right, look at that. So I think that breaking change, we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to go sort out. So PDB, target output, and 2 places for cabs. Let's go see. Which one are we going to go jump into first? Core Windows install. Oh, I don't have them all here anymore. Oh, that's strange. This is just 5 inside the Windows installer. But when I built the core project, it found them. All right, let's see. let's go look at core. Here we are in core, tracked file. Ah, okay. So the clean bit by default gets set to built output, right? Yeah. So this now, so what I'm sitting here looking at this. Clearly this needs to be all three, PDB, target, and content. Okay, so that fixes core. I'm just wondering if I'm gonna want some way of saying all three of those at the same time, if that's gonna be common or not. Maybe it won't. All right, what is this? This is process uncompressed files. Oh, all right. What is this? So where are we? We are in process uncompressed. Okay, execute. Directory parent from directory. Track the location where the cabinet will be placed. If the transfer is redundant, then the file should not be cleaned. All right, this is important. All right, fine. So what are we tracking? This transfer. Yes, what is this transfer? Create it for the facade, the source file. The base layout. What are we looking at here? We're looking at external uncompressed files. Okay, well, these are going to be content. I was just trying to figure out. This comment feels odd. I'm gonna have to come back and look at this. This comment doesn't feel right if we're really talking about external files. Huh. Yeah, we're looking at the file table. Yeah, we're the file query, then we get the file facades. Yeah, this is, and then the media rows. Media symbol, so we resolve them from that. Then we get the relative path to the file where the file should be copied, and then we create a transfer from the source path to that. I wonder if these are all right, what I'm wondering is if this is a copied file and not a built content file, because a lot of times these external files are copied from somewhere else. That makes me nervous that this is not correct. It's either a built content file or this tracked file is either correctly marked as that, or it should actually be what did I say? Copied output. Investigate. All right. I should remember that. And then also up here, I'm going to add a to-do. This comment below seems incorrect as it talks about cabinets, but we seem to be processing loose external files. All right, cool. Either way, something in here gets cleaned up, and this comment for sure. All right, cool. Where are we at here? This is the built output, which is this. This is the create cabinets. So this is our, hey, we are tracking this file. You are a built content output. Woohoo! You are the quintessential example of built content output. All right, here we are. This is the database file. This is the target output. We have finally created the MSI itself. You are the target output. Here, this is the span cabinet. So you are creating more cabinets from one cabinet. You are content output. Woohoo! And this is the PDB. So now we have the built PDB output. This is what I wanted it to be like. I wanted us to be able to go through and catalog a few of these things and be like, yes, that is correct. All right, now let's go look at burn. Create non-UX containers. Yep, container. Great. This is the case that Bob was talking about. This is definitely a content output. And he and I were discussing whether it's a cab or a something else. In the end, I was arguing everything was a cab, but it doesn't have to be. All right, here is the bundle XE. We have finally created the bundle XE at this point. Target output. And this last one is PDB output. Look at that. I was cheating. I had nCrunch over here on the side that was walking me through. Here, let me show you. I'll take this out. Can I get you to float on top? Yep, perfect. So when I had this PDB output core, I was clicking on these links over here and they were taking me straight to the error because, well, I guess it was doing the same thing here, but I find nCrunch just faster. Anyway, I know you guys are tired of plugs for nCrunch, but I love it. Alrighty then. So everything's built. But we have an error. We have a test failing. And that's because we are looking at, these output types. So you are target and you are PDB. I like that. There we go. Let's see if this test will pass now. These are sorted. Read all lines to array. No, they're not sorted. They probably should be sorted. Maybe they're sorted somewhere else and I'm missing it. No. Select, replace, to array. File, read all lines, select, replace. That's inside the select to array. If I order them, will that be better? I'm going to order them. Order by. Yes. I just saw that .NET 7 is finally adding an order by that allows you to just do this. So much better. I saw this. Static. What does that do? Anonymous function. Yeah, okay, it's not available in the version we're using. That's fine. Nope. Target still comes after PDB. All right, please pass now. Now that I've ordered you. Sorted them. Yes, green. Great. I love that break and I love that fix because it validated that our PDB and our output directories are correct. Now, it would be nice if we had a container one in the mix, but I'm going to let that roll for a little bit because I want to continue on to our process. Let's see, where am I? Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's building. Oh, we had something else fail. The signing fixture failed because, well, that's a strange place for that curly brace. The signing failed probably because we have a target that is using the read outputs. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna wait for a second. I should bring nCrunch over here. Window, apply window layout, streaming layout. There's nCrunch. 11% of the way. Everything's okay now. Okay. I don't know why he was upset. Great. So now with this done, we know that things are not going to work correctly because the tracking file is not going to be reading all of the correct output types. Yes, because these are no longer everything. Okay, so let's do the next thing. Built outputs are now 3. PDB, target, and content. All right. And this is now 3. So this is where I start going, maybe I should have had a way of making them the same, but it's really only up here that I have this problem. actually, outputs is built outputs combined with copied output. I guess I could have unioned them. I don't know. I kind of like this better. All right. So now that we have that, let's add 2 more to cover, or not 2 more, 3 more. Built outputs. We're going to add the ones that are missing. Come here. Actually, now that I look at this, filter by only the PDB. Filter only by the target. And then filter only by the content. Yeah, so this is interesting. Because now I could write this instead as, spell outputs equals concat this, concat this. Dot to array. I don't know. You guys have a preference? Is it better for me to go through the all collection and do the where? So the one advantage of going through all every time is that if there are any duplicates, I don't have to worry about that. Technically speaking, because we're filtering off of a metadata item, it should not be possible to create duplicates because, well, these should all be mutually exclusive, so this should be fine. I don't know. What do you guys think? Which one do you prefer? This or this? This is definitely more wasteful because it's going to go through and do all the string comparisons, get metadata 1, 2, 3 for everything, and then so on and so forth, where when you finally get to the build output, it just sticks them all together as opposed to filtering by 3 again. If we prefer this way, then I would also then change the outputs to just be build outputs and copied outputs. So this then would also be, this dot outputs would be build outputs concat this dot copied outputs. I don't know. We have preferences? Anybody thinking one way or the other? Shrug, yeah. Kind of where I'm at. No strong opinions out there. All right, that was target. And this will be built B2B content. Oh, built outputs, but oh, you are not supposed to be last. I did not slide down fast. All right. Content target PDB, target PDB, outputs, track content. These are all things, all tracked outputs. Yes, so union of all tracked outputs. There we go. Which way? Which way? Let's go with this. So there we go. All. Filter, concatenated helper outputs. All right, so what did I do? I changed the internal workings of the Wix toolset, and which changed what was written to the tracking file. I've changed the tracking file here to put it back together. I think the next step is to do the big old bad build of Wix command. And this will end up running our test, which I think is correct now, right? Oh, we're not using it. Let's go. We're not using it yet. Okay, inputs, built outputs. That's fine. All of our inputs, all of our built outputs. That's good. Here we want all outputs. Fine. Here we want all of the outputs because this is all the built outputs. All the outputs. Fine. Here we want the build content outputs. Right? Now I've forgotten how I spelled it. Retracking. Built. Oh, I said build. Built content outputs. Yep, add the bound output files. Yeah. Yep. So technically speaking, I could use the read tracking file to get the target file name here as well. And I could do the same thing for the PDB. But I feel like since the Wix proj or the Wix targets are already referring to this target file name in this manner, I'm going to do the same there. And this is just reduces the set of files that get put into the file path copy to all the content files, aka not the target file name and not the PDB, because we're going to handle those specially, which is what this is all about. So hopefully we've come all the way back to the beginning. And if it just works, that would be unlikely, but always possible. Hopefully it'll at least build. Go. All right, so this is gonna go restore, do a build, do a whole bunch of stuff. This has to build Wix native and all these different architectures, Wix and converter. This is the big central part of the Wix toolset. So I'm gonna take some water while we watch this kind of roll. All right. So how far do we have to go before we get to the test? I think we have to go all the way to the end of the build. Let me slide this over a little bit while it's running. And look at wix.cmd. There we go, we can look at what the build's doing. So we're doing a bunch of tests here, but I think now we're doing a publish. Yep, there's the publish command. It's hard to see, it's flying right by. Oh, now we're in the test, which is the build tasks. That's not the one we want. We want the SDK test. All right, here we go. This is the moment of truth. We're getting there a little faster than I thought we would. Oh, failure. Failure. Could not find part of the path PDB, so that means that our target did not work there either. Okay, that's fine. So I need to go through the publish process because the MSBuild task, this SDK task, the MSBuild fixture requires all of the .NET build publish stuff to be laid out exactly correctly so it can call the SDK targets the way they will be shipped off in the final NuGet package. But to get to this point, we have to create a publish. And oh, we broke all of the tests. Okay, that's fine. Let's bring Visual Studio back and we will run those tests in Test Explorer because NCrunch, unfortunately, is disabled for those. I didn't get the whole NCrunch thing. I did not do that correctly. Window, apply, window layout, double monitor. Thank you. Great. Now, where did Test Manager go? Test Explorer. There you are. I did close you. Okay. I don't know which one to start with here. I guess we could start with the ones that we were working on ourselves. Yeah, why don't we start with this that we expect to work or hope to work. Okay. I have a BL switch on this. Let's just look at build project real quick. I thought this added it does add a bin log. I don't need to have one here. I thought it did. Okay, cool. We're gonna run this and we're going to see, and then when we get to this point, we're gonna look at the bin log and see what we got. Debug, not run, debug, because run would end up flying past it and delete my bin log. Behind the scenes. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Here we are. There we are. All right, let's grab our PDB folder. That's fine. That does not exist yet, but we'll grab the base of it. Open up that temp folder. Yay, and we have a bin log. Fantastic. Let's look at our copy to output directory. All right, here we go. So add item, that adds the target output. Good. Ooh, but that's not the full path. Okay, that's interesting. Then we read the tracking file. We pass in the tracking file and we get out the full path to copy, which we get the cab, and its type is built content output. So that's good. That means all those other things worked properly. And this is a problem, I'm sure, because this thing is supposed to be the full path to copy, and this is clearly the relative path. So that's going to be a challenge. Add the relative path, EN US. Well, it did do the right thing though. Okay, it still made it relative, even though it wasn't correct. All right, that's fine. So we got the relative path for the MSI correct, and we got the relative path for the cab correct. Great. So now this copy command runs, and these are the files that we wrote. That looks good. Oh, look at that. I even looked at this this debug symbols produced and said, we don't set that variable. Bummer. Well, that's clearly a problem. In the Wix targets, this condition is not correct. But we do need the, all right, this is where that whole suppress PDB thing comes back in. And if it's set and whatnot. All right, I'm gonna take it out for now, but we need to bring it back before the world is done with us. All right, now if we go back to Visual Studio or binlog, okay, that's fine. So that PDB was not copied, but the rest of everything should work. And that's why this fails the way it does, because the PDB did not exist, or that step was skipped. Okay, that's fine. Let's look at something else real quick. Can build simple MSI package. Yeah, just run this test real quick and tell me what's wrong. I'm hoping it's telling me that it can't find the PDB file, and that's why it failed. Oh, this one passed. All right, so some of these passed. Which of you failed? All right, what? You failed. You all failed because cannot find the PDB. Great, because we disabled the PDB test. All right, cool. So if that condition now is true, skip copying does not equal true. Nope. Pretty sure this isn't set anywhere. Nope. And copy symbols to output directory is true. That is set to true by default. Groovy. Let's run our build again. Wow. So we took out the condition. This should now be true. Time it, clear it. Boom. All right, 1:49. We got 2 minutes left here. All right. We're running up right up to the end. Woohoo. All right. I have a feeling we're not going to get this committed today, but we're going to be really close. If this works, I may just kind of go finish up. I don't know, I may save it for next week too. We'll see. Maybe I'll finish it and let you guys know how it turned out in the end. I do have to go back and dig into that to-do. Can't check that to-do in just to make sure that it's set correctly. But in the end, I'm either going to figure out that it was supposed to be copy files and I found a bug while we're doing all this, or that it is correct. It is supposed to be content files because it's the set of files that have already been copied to the right location and it's all fine. I don't know. It's going to be one of those two things, or a mix, which would probably be the worst case. But I'll go dig into that. If it gets interesting, I might save it. If it's really simple, I'll just delete the to-dos, clean up the comments, and then we might have one bug less, which would mean I would temporarily be out of double digits. That's how close Wix 4 is getting. That's how close it feels. Oh, I should have looked at this one. I forgot to look at that uncompressed one. Should have looked at that test. Which test is that? Where's the one that said something about uncompressed exe? That was very strange. Where did it go? Where is it? There we go. Failure. Expected test.exe got uncompressed bundle. So something is funky in the bundles. I got the logic wrong there. But how many more failed? What's this? This is not an... failed 12. All right, let's take one more swing at this. We got 18 seconds according to my timer here. Did I get the test name from that? I didn't. All right, open up. Where's ours? Come on. There you are. I want to see ours and see if we've at least got ours right. Let's see. Run. Just run. Find the PDB, please. Please have been put to the right place. Ah, we are out of time. We are rapidly running out of... Oh, it's green. Yeah. Okay, that means we got that right. Let's see how many of these then fail. Green, 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 please. All of you. All different flavors of you. All right, that's progress. That is progress. That means we've kind of found, or at least the idea of it all held together. And I kind of like the idea of, oh, can build with no Wix PDB. Oh, this is failing now when, okay. All right, so the test that says there's no Wix PDB is failing because, well, the copy command failed because we have to get that suppressed thing correct. Great, so we have a test failing for that to remind us to remind me to do that suppress thing, and then can build uncompressed bundle. This is the thing that I'm guessing is, yeah, some file that was not before, it's not considered a, oh, well, test.txt, oh, so test.txt is missing. Okay. That's interesting. Oh, signing, uncompressed signing. Okay, fine. This needs investigation. All right. We got close, but not quite done. Very, very close. I'll be back next week. And if I don't fix these things, because I'm really tempted to fix these things just to get one more bug fixed. If I don't fix these things, we will almost certainly, definitely, please, should finish next week. So thanks for joining me this week. In the meantime, you guys keep coding. You know I am.